that I want to be number one. Little did I know that I would,
It's hard to imagine that now because we're so far removed from it that it's almost hard to percent. I think sports has always been on the front of social change.
Martina Navratilova has watched tennis for 6 decades. She has seen everything this sport can produce. She has never seen this before. 3 months ago, she issued a warning on Tennis Channel after Alex Eala's first-round match at the Australian Open drew a crowd so overwhelming that hundreds of fans physically couldn't get inside the stadium. She told the entire tennis world tournament organizers were underestimating something they had never encountered before. Eala's fan base had outgrown the courts being assigned to her. Nobody listened, so on April 22, 2026, the Madrid Open watched it happen again. And this time, Navratilova was flat out stunned. Eala beat Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova 6-3, 6-3. 91 minutes, 68% first serve percentage, 4 breaks. Clinical and cold-blooded from start to finish. But the result wasn't the story. The biggest crowd the Arantxa Sanchez Vicario Stadium had seen for a first-round women's match this week showed up for a 20-year-old who 3 months ago wasn't even inside the top 40. I've never seen this before, and after Madrid, Navratilova has every right to say she told them so. Hit subscribe, because Eala's clay season is just getting started and it's only getting louder. Here's the full picture. So what exactly did Navratilova see at the Australian Open that left her demanding change? It was January 19, 2026. Eala walked out onto Court 6 at Melbourne Park for her first-round match against American Alicia Parks. Court 6 holds around 1,000 people. What showed up that day was something nobody at the Australian Open had planned for. Long before the first ball was struck, fans had packed every walkway surrounding the court. The queue stretched back toward Rod Laver Arena. People waited shoulder to shoulder under the afternoon sun for over an hour. Many never made it inside. Filipino flags were everywhere. The chants didn't stop even after the match ended. Eala lost that day. Parks defeated her 6-0, 3-6, 2-6. But Parks herself admitted the crowd nearly broke her concentration. It was very difficult, she said after the match. I was expecting it, but I also wasn't. She definitely has a good crowd. Parks had to mentally reset between sets just to stay focused on her own game plan. The crowd wasn't just noise, it was pressure. Real physical, match-altering pressure, directed at a player ranked outside the top 40 at the time. Navratilova watched all of it from Tennis Channel. So did Lindsay Davenport, and both of them arrived at the same conclusion independently. Davenport said Eala should have been placed on a much bigger showcase court. She's probably the most famous female from the Philippines, certainly one of the most famous people to come through their sporting world, Davenport said, and there were so many fans just waiting to get in there. Navratilova didn't stop at court assignments. She went further. She told organizers to start factoring in where players are from when building the schedule. There's a massive Filipino audience in Melbourne, in Australia, she said, so keep that in mind next time you make the schedule. That was 3 months ago. The schedule makers apparently filed that advice somewhere and forgot about it, because Madrid just replicated the scene at a WTA 1000 event in the first round against a qualifier. The Arantxa Sanchez Vicario Stadium filled with noise that didn't match the occasion on paper. A round of 128 match between the world's 44th and 116th ranked players should not generate that kind of atmosphere. But Eala doesn't operate within the normal logic of professional tennis right now. Former national team coach Carl Santamaria, who was present at the Australian Open and sat beside Filipino fans during the Parks match, put it plainly afterward. There's no one more deserving of this attention than Alex, he said, but he also noted that the organizers should have seen it coming days in advance, because Eala was already being mobbed during her practice sessions. The warning signs were there before a single match had been played. The same pattern repeated itself heading into Madrid. Eala attended the 2026 Laureus World Sports Awards just days before her first match, wearing a Filipiniana gown designed by her own uncle, and the image circulated across Filipino media within hours. She took a selfie with Novak Djokovic and Eileen Gu, captioned it, "Sandwiched between greatness," and the post went viral before the tournament even started. By the time she stepped onto court against Pavlyuchenkova, the fan base was already primed. The numbers behind the Eala phenomenon go well beyond crowd sizes. Her pre-tournament press conference at the Australian Open drew 196,000 views. Djokovic's drew roughly half that. Carlos Alcaraz, who won the men's title in Melbourne, drew about 30,000. Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1 and a two-time Australian Open champion, pulled 9,000 views for her pre-tournament presser on the same day. These are not minor gaps, these are generational gaps in public interest, and Eala hasn't won a Grand Slam. She hasn't even reached a Grand Slam quarterfinal. She's 20 years old and currently ranked 44th in the world after sliding from a career high of 29, a ranking she hit in March after reaching the 4th round at Indian Wells. Filipino sports journalist TJ Manotok has covered this phenomenon closely, and his explanation is the most honest one available. The Philippines has been searching for a new global sporting icon since Manny Pacquiao retired from boxing. During Pacquiao's peak, the entire country would stop. Businesses would close, streets would empty. People needed someone to feel that way about again. Tennis wasn't even close to the most popular sport in the Philippines before Eala. Basketball and boxing dominated, but Eala's Miami Open semifinal run in 2025, where she beat Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek back-to-back as a wild card, changed everything overnight. Suddenly, there was a Filipino player competing at the highest level of a global individual sport, and the country poured everything it had behind her. Eala herself has been remarkably honest about how unexpected this became. "I did not expect this sort of fan base or crowd rallying behind me," she told Front Office Sports earlier this year. "But it's an incredible privilege to have, I tell you, and it's not something your everyday person can experience, so I'm always so grateful." She also addressed the broader cultural weight of what she carries onto every court. "Being loud and proud, especially when it comes to cultures, is so important," she said. "Us Filipinos, there are very few nationalities that I see are as loud and proud as us. There are just so many of us that I think it should be celebrated that there's someone who's on the world stage representing the Philippines." The tennis world has largely embraced it. Andy Roddick called it exactly the kind of story the sport needs. Djokovic said the crowd chaos is a good problem to have. Indian Wells tournament executive Philippe Dore said his event actively promoted the Eala fan base because they benefited from it commercially. A day-in-the-life video the BNP Paribas Open posted, featuring Eala, became the tournament's most-watched YouTube content of the entire 2026 event, and it wasn't particularly close. But Navratilova's reaction carries a different weight from all of those endorsements. Because Navratilova isn't just celebrating the phenomenon, she's pointing at a structural failure inside professional tennis. The sport has not caught up with what Alex Eala represents off the court. Scheduling committees still treat her ranking as the primary signal for court assignment. They look at world number 44 and they assign her accordingly. What they keep missing, and what Navratilova made explicit, is that Eala's cultural footprint is operating on a completely different scale than her current ranking suggests. Veteran tennis writer Ben Rothenberg captured it as precisely as anyone after the Australian Open. Writing that by the sheer weight of the crowds waiting outside Court 6, Eala had effectively been coronated as the most popular player in tennis right now. That was January. By March at Indian Wells, her practice sessions were drawing crowds comparable to Alcaraz, Sinner, and Venus Williams. Jessica Pegula, world number 5, described playing against Eala at the Miami Open in 2025 as genuinely disorienting. "The whole crowd was against me," Pegula said. "I was like, what on earth is going on? Where did these people come from?" Now Madrid has added its name to the list, and the clay season is nowhere near finished. After the Madrid Open, Eala is scheduled to compete at the Italian Open in Rome, then the WTA 125 Parma. Ladies Open, before the clay season peaks at Roland Garros in late May. Every one of those venues is about to face the same question the Australian Open faced in January, and the same question Madrid faced on April 22nd. How big a court do you give her? How many barriers do you set up? How much staff do you dedicate to managing a fan base that doesn't behave like any other fan base in professional tennis right now? Navratilova said she had never seen anything like it. She's been in this sport for over 50 years as a player, a commentator, and an analyst. She's watched phenomena come and go. She's watched Agassi fill stadiums. She's watched Serena redefine what a female athlete can mean to a generation. And she was stunned by what Alex Eala is doing to crowds in 2026. The scary part for every tournament director between here and Paris? Eala is only defending 67 WTA ranking points across the entire clay swing. She has almost nothing to lose and everything to gain. She's hungry, she's confident, and her fan base is not going to quietly shrink between now and Roland Garros. Navratilova told them 3 months ago. Madrid just proved the warning was right. If you want to follow every step of what happens next, like this video, share it with someone who needs to see it, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. This clay season is going to produce moments nobody in tennis is prepared for. Don't miss them.